is basically you get as lean as possible first. Then the next step is you maintain your new body weight. Then the next step is you reverse diet, and then you start gaining weight. And then it depends on what your next goals are. So basically the reason for that is if you are currently a bit fat, realistically, for gaining strength and muscle, the best way to do it, the fastest way, is to gain weight. So if you're not willing to gain a little bit more body fat, then you're going to constantly have that thought in the back of your mind of, I've got a little bit of a belly, I need to stop. And you're not going to, because you're going to have to force feed yourself to eat enough to gain as quickly as possible. But if you think you're a bit too fat, you're not. And for most people, you're not aiming for world's strongest man or high level competitions or whatever. So at the end of the day, you just want to look better naked. So the way I say to approach it is get as lean as possible first, and then it's like a blank slate and you know what you're working with. So the process
when you say get as lean as possible, there's so like 10 to 12% body fat realistically.
Is
that tied in from, so we're talking from a performance standpoint, build down, build back up, strictly speaking. That's going to get a little bit skewed with some people depending on what they're already bringing to the party in terms of leanness. So that then becomes a little bit like, I am probably at 10% body fat, but I'm not happy, so I'm going to go down even more. That could be a little bit ropey, couldn't it, for folk, maybe?
Yeah, so bear with me just a second. So the idea would be that you would lose body fat between 0.5% and 1% a week, which is quite quick. The reason for that is if you're not lean, that's not that quick. So if you are, for example, 40% body fat, you can lose weight so fast without it having affect things too much. But although I've used those as rough numbers, they're probably not the best numbers to go from. It's just that Matt asked for an objective number.
I
mean, measuring body fat and stuff it's not an exact science unless you're going to get an MRI scan. So the things I would look at more is when life's affected too much. So are you hungry all the time? Like, are you thinking about hunger more than you're thinking about everything else? Are you in a bad mood because you're always hungry? Are you being snappy? Can you not focus on your work? Your relationship's going down? Is your libido gone? Like, all of those things are signs that you've either done too much too soon or you are starting to get too lean. And then the other thing would be is if your rate of loss is now less than 0.1% a week for a couple of weeks in a row, you've probably done enough, and that's probably low enough. And then more importantly, say like for you or for performance athletes, if your strength starts going down too much, so a little bit of strength loss is fine. So if, for argument's sake, you normally benched 132.5 for 2, which was a good PB, so well done, and you instead went down to 130 kilos for 2, but you'd lost 5 kilos in body weight, that's perfectly reasonable. Like, I wouldn't use that as a reason to stop. But if instead you drop down to 115 kilos for 2, like, that's a big drop off. It's, 115, 530. That's like a 12% drop off. So that's way too much of a drop off if performance is the main thing. So that's why it depends on what your main goal is, whether it's to look good or perform good. So then the next part is you come back to this graphic of, are you happy? Yes, you can maintain or gain. If not, fat loss.